The future of our nation.
Ours is a fight for the future.
We're going to make America great again. We had to get there.
The future of our state.
We deserve a governor we can trust and who we can like, one we can bring common sense and restore balance.
I'm one that solves problems, knows how to get it done.
And the future of your community on the line this November.
Your vote matters. It absolutely matters.
We're breaking down the biggest races, the policies, and the ballot measures battling for your votes just hours from now. We are your local election headquarters, and our 2024 election preview special starts right now. Fox 59 is your local election headquarters. More than 1 million ballots have already been cast in the Hoosier State, but tomorrow is the big day itself. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Dan Spieler. We're counting down, as you see here on the clock. In less than 24 hours, we'll be getting Indiana's first results from the 2024 election when the polls close statewide. And Hoosiers have a lot to decide this year, and we're here tonight with your last-minute guide to some of the key issues and big races here in our state. One of the most consequential items on every ballot will be the race for governor. Hoosiers are choosing between Republican Senator Mike Braun, Democratic candidate and former state superintendent of education Jennifer McCormick, and Libertarian candidate Donald Rainwater. Of course, the race for president will be on your ballot as well, between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. Finally, Indiana has a U.S. Senate seat up for grabs between Republican Congressman Jim Banks, Democrat Valerie McRae, and the Libertarian candidate Andrew Horning. Now, that Senate race feeds into a key question in November. Who will take control of Congress? The GOP controls 49 seats right now, including Indiana Senator Mike Braun, who's leaving Washington after this year. Democrats control 47 plus 4 independents, effectively holding a 51-49 edge for now. But our race could decide whether Democrats keep that majority or whether Republicans regain control. Meantime, in the House, as it stands right now, Republicans hold a slim majority, 222 to 213. All 9 of Indiana's seats are up for grabs. And again, Indiana Republicans are hoping to help the party hold on to that majority. We're going to look at all of those races throughout the night as well. As for the White House, Hoosiers have selected the GOP presidential candidate in 11 out of the last 12 elections, outside of a narrow win here for President Obama in 2008. Our own polling through Emerson College shows that'll likely be the case again. Former President Trump holding a 17-point lead in September, and the Hill's decision desk shows a 99% chance that Indiana will stay red this year. And that's where we'll bring in our panel tonight. Joining us here in studio at the desk are UIndy political science professor Dr. Laura Wilson and Purdue University President Dr. Martin Sweet. Thank you both for being here tonight. Martin, you believe President Trump will still win handily here in Indiana, perhaps the first state called tomorrow night when the polls close here in the Hoosier State.
Right. With Indiana polls closing at 6, or at least being in line by 6 o'clock, we expect Trump to sort of be the first declared victor here in Indiana. Kentucky shortly thereafter. Both of them actually have 2 time zones, and so we may have to wait slightly before we officially announce.
Eastern, 6 Central.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
But it looks like Indiana will be electing Donald Trump.
A lot of predictions looking both ways in this race. And what about that poll from Iowa over the weekend showing Vice President Harris ahead in that state? Pretty surprising. You think that we may see some surprises one way or the other tomorrow?
Well, if Iowa does vote Democrat, it's certainly a surprise. Now, Electoral College votes, it's relatively small, but that's typically a state we've seen go Republican. And what some people think that poll suggests is that white female voters in particular are coming out in droves in terms of Harris. We have seen a lot of male voters support Trump, so it seems like a big gender issue. I think at the end of the day, Iowa's not the swing state we're all watching. It's really Pennsylvania, and then also the Blue Wall, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. There were a lot of swing states this year, but those are the ones people are going to be really focused on tomorrow evening.
All right. The presidential race, of course, can often influence other races down ballot. So let's drill into that race for governor right now. Our State House reporter Hannah Adamson explains where each candidate stands on the major issues.
As inflation takes its toll on Hoosiers statewide, both Republican Senator Mike Braun and Democrat Jennifer McCormick have put property tax reform front and center in their plans if elected governor. Braun says he would cap yearly property tax increases by 2 to 3% and would require any proposal exceeding that cap to be approved through a referendum.
I've not had any taxpayer not be happy about this.
McCormick's plan would cap yearly property tax increases by 10% and expand deductions for seniors and disabled veterans.
Day one, it is ready. They could call General Assembly into session and boom, pass it.
Another hot button item, legalizing weed.
Yes, because I hear a lot of input where that's helpful, and I think that you need to listen and see what makes sense.
However, McCormick has called for immediately legalizing medicinal marijuana while laying the groundwork to legalize recreational weed, a move she says could bring in just under $200 million each year for the state.
It is a good time, and every state around us, again, has already figured this out, to look at alternative ways in which to bring in that revenue.
In education, both candidates have called on increasing the minimum teacher salary. McCormick says it should be at least $60,000 a year. Her plan calls for moving millions of dollars currently going into private school vouchers to boost teacher pay.
We're losing a third of our teachers in that first 5 years, and that is not sustainable.
However, Senator Braun says he would work with the General Assembly to boost school choice, promising to give all Hoosier families the freedom to choose no matter their zip code.
Parents need to be the main stakeholders in their own kids' education.
We're ready to bring back that balance and common sense.
With the repeal of the state's near-total abortion ban unlikely, Democrat Jennifer McCormick released what she calls her common-sense abortion rights plan. The plan calls on the IDOH to clarify abortion regulations and exceptions to maximize legal access.
Making sure Hoosiers are educated on options and also healthcare providers. You know, what is the whole picture? What does that look like?
This as Senator Braun released his public safety plan. That plan would end sanctuary cities, strengthen penalties for violent crime, and streamline collaborative efforts to fight illegal immigration.
What we need less of is what my opponent and her party have given us in the first place, which is open doors.
Reporting in the newsroom, I'm Hannah Adamson.
All right, Hannah, thanks. A little later, we'll hear what Braun and McCormick told me today, but right now let's bring Martin and Laura back to talk about this race for governor. Laura, different polls have shown some very different results here leading up to Election Day in this race.
They have, and this one seemed like one that Braun would walk away with months ago. More recent polls show McCormick might be closer in this race. I don't really know what's ultimately going to be the outcome of it, but I think minimally it tells you that the polls are not necessarily always consistent, and McCormick has been able to cut into some of that lead that Braun has. We're typically a very red state, and McCormick is a former Republican.
Sure.
But both of these candidates talking about either kitchen table issues as Braun frames them or common sense as McCormick frames them. Clearly a lot of connection with voters.
And a lot of national money is coming to this race too, Martin. What does that tell you?
So that's always the adage in politics, right? Follow the money. The Democratic Governors Association has a lot of races around the country to spend money. They chose to spend money in Indiana. They tend to only do that when they think they've got a shot. Braun really has two threats. One is the threat from the Libertarian candidate, possibly pulling votes away, and then that would allow the Democratic candidate to get closer. And two is simply voters who are going to vote for Donald Trump who just might not vote in the Republican contest. Democrats will come out for the Democratic candidate, but Republicans simply fall off the ballot after voting presidential.
His running mate's certainly also been a big factor in this race, at least so far. All right, stick with us. Coming up next, we're going to take an in-depth look at the race for Indiana's U.S. Senate seat, the Attorney General's race, and some of the key decisions that Hoosiers are making at the State House. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. With Senator Mike Braun leaving Washington to focus on the governor's race, his seat in the U.S. Senate is now up for grabs. Congressman Jim Banks is hoping to move into a new chamber, but he's facing two challengers in this race. Hannah Adamson breaks down some of the big issues in the race for Senate.
In the race to fill Senator Mike Braun's seat, Republican Representative Jim Banks, Democrat Valerie McRae, and Libertarian Andrew Horning are sharing vastly different visions for the office if elected.
Indiana is more affected than any other state in the Midwest by inflation.
Banks says his top priority is to bring down inflation by reducing government spending.
And right now we have a $35 trillion national debt. Every 100 days, we grow the debt by another $1 trillion.
McRae says she wants to turn back the clock on the Dobbs decision and pass legislation protecting abortion at all stages.
I trust the women, I trust the doctors, and we'll let them make those decisions.
While Banks says Congress will not vote on a federal abortion ban if President Trump is reelected.
If I ever get a chance to vote on a bill at the federal level to stop abortions of babies who feel pain and have a heartbeat, I will proudly vote for a bill to do that.
Libertarian Andrew Horning says while he is pro-life, he would not support a federal abortion ban.
Our culture has become very anti-life, and that's really the issue that we have to address.
Horning says rooting out political corruption would be his top focus if elected.
I think we all know that the whole system has become very little more than a puppet show.
The candidates have also expressed extremely different plans for health care. Banks says he would work to break up hospital monopolies.
And some studies show that is the largest driver of higher health care costs are hospital monopolies.
McRae says she would strengthen and expand medical supports for the most vulnerable Hoosiers.
Of course, I'm always for anything that gets health care to everyone.
Horning, who retired after 40 years in the healthcare industry, says politicians practicing medicine is causing costs to skyrocket.
I think that everything we've done politically is wrong, and we have just about the worst socialized healthcare system in the world.
According to our latest poll conducted by Emerson College and The Hill, Banks leads by 14 percentage points over McRae and 42 percentage points over Horning. Pollsters tell me the likelihood of McRae catching up is unlikely despite the unusual number of undecided voters without some major infusion of cash into her campaign by a national organization. Reporting in the newsroom, I'm Hannah Adamson.
Hannah, thank you. Meantime, with Banks running for Senate, his congressional district and two other districts are open this year, leaving 2 Democratic incumbents and 4 Republican incumbents running for re-election in the House, including Jim Baird in the 4th district. He's running against Derek Holder. In the 5th, Victoria Spartz initially said she wasn't running for re-election, then changed her mind. She's up against Deborah Pickett. In the 6th, former mayoral candidate Jefferson Shreve is up against Cindy Worth. In the 7th, it's incumbent Andre Carson and Republican John Schmitz. And in the 8th, another open seat, State Senator Mark Messer up against Eric Hurt. In the 9th district, incumbent Aaron Houchin up against Tim Peck. I'm back with the panel now, Martin and Laura. Last week, Martin, on In Focus, you told us you thought that we were headed for a split in which Democrats take back the House and Republicans take back the Senate?
Right. So for Republicans to take the Senate, they really just need 2 seats. And West Virginia looks like that's going to be an easy one, and then Montana probably as well. And then after that point, it's sort of just gravy. On the House, you have to imagine that Democrats who won during a midterm election in 2022 with Biden on the ballot are probably going to be able to hold serve now. And so what we expect is that you're going to see some Republican bleeding of House seats. And the question is it enough to change control? I think it probably will be.
Indiana's districts are all fairly safe. The only one that Republicans have targeted in recent years, that 1st district. How do you see all this playing out on the congressional level?
Yeah, well, I think you're right. Indiana's are probably going to be the same that they are. But Martin's assessment is spot on. And it'd be wild if we had divided government, but in a different way where you...
They just flipped
Yes, it seems likely the Republicans will take the Senate. If the Democrats are successful in taking the House, you're flipping the chambers. Sure. And then, of course, the real question is the White House and which party controls that.
All right. Also on the ballot this year, Indiana's Attorney General. State House reporter Hannah Adamson is explaining some of the issues at play in that race.
I know we have a strong ticket. I know we're unified. And I'm excited.
Much of Rokita's campaign has focused on accomplishments throughout his first term, such as securing more than $1 billion in legal settlements and challenging red tape he says hurts small businesses.
I'm excited for Micah's win. I'm excited for Mike Braun's win. Because we're going to get some good partners here in the State House.
Challenger Destiny Wells, an attorney and combat veteran, has made protecting workers' rights a key focus of her campaign, promising to create a workers' rights task force if elected.
A large part of our Hoosier population are union members, are middle class. I come from the middle class. That is my family, and I want to make sure that we're serving people and being the people's attorney.
Another top priority for both campaigns, Indiana's near-total abortion ban. If re-elected, Rokita says he will continue to fight what he calls one-off cases challenging the ban.
We're going to continue on. We'll fight all these wherever they're at, but we're very confident in the constitutionality and the reasonableness of Indiana's pro-life law.
Wells says she will protect medical privacy and restore what she calls the integrity of the office, calling Rokita's conduct and the multiple disciplinary complaints he's received, quote, distractions.
That's been the problem with the office, is that the leadership has been violating the rules and acting like they are above the law. I will lead by example. I will practice within the highest ethical standards.
In our latest poll conducted by Emerson College and The Hill, Rokita maintains a commanding double-digit lead over Wells. Although the number of undecided voters in the race also remains in double digits, pollsters say it's highly unlikely Wells will win over enough of them to catch up.
It is absolutely 0% chance of a possibility. Donald Trump's at the top of the ticket, and he's 17 points ahead by your most recent poll. I mean, Destiny Wells has zero chance of winning.
While money is important to get out your message, it's not always the thing that can make or break a political campaign, quite honestly.
All right, that was Hannah Adamson reporting. Some key races at the State House this year as well, as Democrats try and pick up 4 seats to break the Republican supermajority in the House. One of the districts they're targeting is in Carmel, where it's been a contentious race between Pacers executive Danny Lopez and his Democratic opponent Matt McNally. Other key races, District 24, Democrat Josh Lowry up against a former Colts player, Hunter Smith, who's the Republican candidate in that district. District 32 in Fishers, Democratic incumbent Victoria Garcia Wilburn up against Republican Patricia Bratton. This district was very close 2 years ago. It's a key swing district. Let's also take you to District 69 in Seymour, Republican incumbent Jim Lucas up against Democrat Trish Whitcomb there. Lucas has been at the center of controversy on a few different occasions. Democrats have been targeting this district, and of course Whitcomb is also the daughter of a former Indiana governor. So what do you think, Laura? That's the key question. Can Democrats break that supermajority in the House?
It would be a huge win for them if they can, and I think we might be able to know as early as tomorrow evening, right, for many of these races. Now, a lot of them are suburban, so we know the impact of Hamilton County and just how important that area is. But breaking the supermajority, on one hand, it feels relatively small. The Republicans will still have a majority, but how...
A big majority, even.
A very large majority.
Just not a supermajority.
Just not a supermajority with the two-thirds.
Democrats can't walk out, essentially, a quorum-proof majority. We saw that happen.
And you would expect to see more collegiality, more work across the aisle. So I think that would be huge for the Democrats. The party statewide has put all of their eggs in this basket with the hope to do that. You're only talking about a handful of seats to flip, so it really could be this year.
We'll see what happens. Martin, what do you make of that AG race? It's been a contentious one as well.
Right. Well, Destiny Wells has run statewide before. People thought she was teed up quite well to run against Diego Morales for Secretary of State. Obviously wasn't successful doing that. Rokita is seen as vulnerable in the sense that he's a bit off-putting to a lot of Indiana voters. I don't think, however, that's going to be such a problem for her or for him. It looks like he will probably maintain his position.
Polls have shown him with a big lead there. All right, our thanks to you both. Still ahead as Election Day draws near, Republican and Democratic Party leaders are laying out their messages to the public. We'll look at some of their final messages for voters when we return right after this. How do you feel about this race for governor now that we're just hours away from the election itself?
You know, I feel really good about it. Again, I think it's who has the best track record, who's picking the issues that more people are interested in, and who do they believe can actually run a state enterprise sprawling 32,000 employees, 80 agencies, 30 major ones, and who's got the track record of showing that they can get it done. And I think I've got that in the real world of running a business for 37 years and on the big stage as well.
A lot of people voting early this year, including yourself and your opponent who both voted early.
Yeah, and we welcome that. You know, when we have more people to vote, we feel good. We said we vote, we win. And so those numbers look good, they're strong, and we just need a good showing tomorrow.
All right, you know, at this point in the evening, we are less than 12 hours away from the polls opening. As you saw there, the candidates for governor sharing their final plans with me today. We caught up with Republican and Democratic Party leaders about their final messages for Hoosiers.
We want to be the party of balance and the party of common sense in Indiana. We have a lot of Republicans already in office, and I think we just need more balance in our state's politics.
So it's those pocketbook issues for Hoosiers that are really, you know, what he's focused on, what the state GOP is focused on, what Republicans in general, the message that they're carrying is on those pocketbook issues.
All right, that's going to do it for us here tonight. Hopefully you have everything you need to cast your ballot and make those plans to vote tomorrow. The polls open at 6 a.m. across the state. They close at 6 p.m. And remember, as long as you're in line, you can vote. We'll start getting statewide results between 6 and 7. The polls close statewide at 7 p.m. And of course, at that time, we will be right here in studio to bring you more results and analysis from our panel and live reactions from all the winners. Have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow.